afternoon. Thanks for making it here. I see a few people, there's light shining on my head, but really excited to be here. Thanks for taking the time. As we were thinking about what I should talk about, we thought of many topics. I was discussing with Dipansh, and he spoke about work-life balance, and I was like, there's no way I'm talking about that because I don't think I'm the best person to talk about. And to be honest, how many of you are IMV students? Is that the audience pretty much? Okay, I mean, we don't need to talk about that yet. We'll talk about work-life balance maybe when you're well into your corporate careers, but you're just starting out. So I thought maybe, given my background and my tenure of 20 years in corporate, maybe I can share some nuggets of what I've seen and how I've gotten here. So what I've tried to do is, title of my topic is how do you get from here to there. So here is you guys here coming out of college, graduating. And there is where I am. So you saw my intro, I'm the president of Honeywell India and Asia Pac. We have fairly large operations. We are a $40 million company, Fortune 500, etc. So essentially, not just about me in this position, but essentially all of you, I imagine, as you graduate are essentially aspiring to be senior executives, successful entrepreneurs, and stuff like that. Is that generally what you guys want to do? Is that fair? Yeah? Okay, good. So what I will aspire to do, or what I aim to do, is share maybe 3 or 4 things. And I'll keep my presentation or talk to maybe 15 minutes. And if possible, and if you can ask questions, that would be great, because I think that is most effective for you. I don't want a monologue where I come in and I just give you a bunch of stuff, and then you walk out and you forget everything. I think that's usually not effective. Hopefully we'll leave enough time for you guys to ask questions. And that might be more effective. Does that work? Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. So that would be my intent. So I thought of 4 things that might be worth talking about today. The first one I want to talk about is staying hungry. You see the lion there, right? And maybe if I were to share my own hunger story, it started off in college, and I think you can relate to this because you're still coming out of college. Is when I graduated, when I was in 1st grade, I was a good student, and I wanted to get into IIT. Everybody who is graduating out of India, wants to get into IIT, and I did not get it. I went to NIT Trichy, which I'm a proud alumni of, by the way, today, but actually I did not get into IIT, and I was very angry. I was angry because I was a top student. I should have gone into IIT. What I did, I think, at the time was converted my anger into hunger. And I wrote IIT again in my 1st year, and I cleared IIT, being a 1st-year student in engineering college, which is not trivial. And I did not join IIT just so that I could tell myself that I did not choose to go to IIT. Maybe it was a little bold, but that's what I did. I studied hard. I did well in college in NIT. I went to do my MS. I went on to do Wharton, and then joined McKinsey. In my college in MS, I wrote several research papers. I wrote patents, and then went and joined Honeywell, and I'm probably one of the youngest presidents in Honeywell. So I'm not trying to boast my journey. I'm just trying to tell you what got me to here is my hunger. And this hunger never stopped. And maybe if I look back, the turning point really was that whole IIT NIT thing. You got to find your NIT IIT moment, say what will keep your hunger going, and really get you to there where you want to get to. I can tell you this, and I hate to break the news, there's no substitute to working hard. There's no substitute. And you can stay hungry, but you got to work hard. And if you combine the two, magic happens, and success will be yours. I can guarantee you that. I have friends who actually went to IITs and, were settled and happy, etc. And they did not go on and so on and so forth, which is fine. It's a choice you make. But I think staying hungry significantly is very, very important for you to be successful in life. I think that's a critical point I want to make sure that I tell you guys. Right? Just be the best. Do you see that picture with a lot of balls flying around and the guy shooting many? One of the things you have to think about as you get into the corporate career is you got to think about what is your brand. There are many people, if you join a company, there will be hundreds of thousands of people. You got to think about what are you known for? What is your brand? If your brand is you are the best, don't have to worry about it. Many people ask, no, but there's politics. How did you grow? How did you get promoted? There must be a mentor, there must be a relationship, or whatever. So try to figure out some other variable that is leading someone in their corporate life. The answer usually is that they are very good at what they do. What I often tell people is, no matter what role you are in, if you're a finance guy, be the best finance guy. If you're an executive assistant, be the best executive assistant. If you're a software guy, be the best coder. If you're a general manager, be the best general manager. If you're a marketing guy, be the best marketing guy. Because no matter what happens, if restructuring happens, the promotions happen, etc., whatever happens, whatever moves around you, remember this, if you are good at what you do, or the best at what you do, people will make sure, your managers, your senior executives, management, so-called, will make sure that you are picked for that job. You are picked in the teams that are most critical. You've got to be the best at what you do. And best happens if you practice a lot. You've all heard growing up, practice makes perfect. Remember? I've chosen this picture very, very carefully. A, you've got to be the best. And best does not happen just because you want to be the best. It happens because you've tried very hard. When everybody else is sleeping, this guy is shooting hoops. And that's why he or she is the best. You have to be the best. And my second message. The third message. Learn to communicate. And I want to spend some more time here. The most time I want to spend in my talk is this. Learn to communicate or communication. I'll start off with a story and then we'll talk about this more. When I was in college, when I went to Wharton, prior to that, my first job coming out of college, coming out of grad school was as an R&D engineer. And you know what R&D engineers do? They're on experiments. They are in their back room doing whatever they do. They don't interact much. That was me. I was an R&D engineer running experiments, very happy. There was no teamwork. There was no whatever you want to call it. I was doing my own thing. And then I write my GMAT, I do well, and I end up in Wharton. And I'm there. And one of the classes I consciously took was called Persuasive Communication. The class is 4 credits. I mean, I used to be worried about that class the whole week because there was another class next week. Like, it was so scary for me as an individual. Because what they were teaching me there was to communicate, public speaking. Doesn't come naturally to me, didn't come naturally to me because I was an R&D engineer. Think of that, right? What that teacher would do was, she would give you a topic, you would have to prepare it, you go back home, you prepare it, you come back, and you would have to talk on a topic for 2-3 minutes in your class. And she would video record you. She would video record you, and then she would play it back to the whole class. And everyone, and it was a small class, it was 10, 12 students, and everyone would have to comment on what they saw in that speech, in that talk. Someone would say, oh, your intonation was not right. Someone would say you were not standing straight. Someone would say your hand movements were bad. Someone would say your story didn't make sense. Someone would say there was lack of energy. Someone would say something, and it would be embarrassing. There were 12 classes in a quarter. Essentially, that was the model. And it was alright. But, over time we got better. Everybody got better in the class. And we ended. In the last class, I vividly remember to call the class. My teacher, my professor, she brought her son to the class. And she played two videos of me. Of all the people in the class, of 50 of us, she played the video of me, my first video, which was when I first joined the class, my first video and my last video. And she said she brought her son over only to show if someone tried really hard, how much they could improve. And I was a case study of improvement. I didn't imagine how bad I was. That could be one. But how much I had improved. And to me, that really changed my trajectory, my career trajectory in terms of space communication and exploring communication. And to this date, I continue to work on my communication skills. The reason I've traveled almost a day to get here is to practice communication. I don't know any of you, right? Most often in my own company, I talk to my teams, I talk to many, many people which I know. I am the boss, if you can say, I'm the president, so people would come and listen to me, etc., etc. I feel comfortable speaking to them, largely. Am I comfortable speaking to someone I don't know at all, like you all? I'm still working on it. So it is a continuous journey. Only the stage changes. When you go into your job, you will talk to smaller teams. Maybe you're not even a manager, so if you're a manager, you will have small teams. If you're an individual contributor, you will not have teams that will be talking. You will not be addressing groups, but you will be expected to speak up. That's part of communication. As you grow in your organization, you will have to address more and more bigger teams in different settings. And that matters. When you are in a corporate or in a company, what is differentiating you from another person? Just the way you are communicating. Your manager and your manager's manager is thinking, if I put this person in front of my boss, how will he get it? And that is all about communication. That's actually not so much about intelligence, unfortunately. Because you all are intelligent. Everybody has a basic power. That's all you need. So communication is absolutely critical, and I would say of all the things I've said so far, the most critical thing in your growth. Remember this, write it down, look at it every day. This one sentence that I just said. Now if you break communications down, it has two parts. One is written communication, which is writing email. As simple as writing email. Most of the time in a company, you are communicating through email. And that's an art. It can grow you, it can kill you if you're not writing emails. Emails have tones. You know that? How many of you know emails have tones? All of you do. Great. Are you learning any course which teaches you how to write emails? You are? Yes. Oh, that's great. I love it. I didn't know this. But you absolutely need to have a course on this. If you did that, I would have recommended it. How do you open an email? What culture are you in? You're an American company, whether you're a European company, whether you're a Japanese company, whether you're an Indian company, how you write emails matters. Email determines the speed. I have a manager who writes to me, and you could tell he's forcing action when he's writing the mail. How do you do that? How do you write an email that makes you feel good? End of here, opening here, etc., etc. This is not communication. And then there's the classic communication, which is public speaking. You stand up, you talk, you energize the team. Are you clear? Are you crisp? That's all communication. Right? Don't often, is there any course on public speaking or that kind of stuff? In the college? Not yet. That is my recommendation. I would make the recommendation as I walk out of this campus. And finally, my fourth one is stay healthy. Health. Often ignored. I would have not had this pre-COVID probably. And I think all of us have become more and more aware of this. And I will break this down into two parts. Physical health and mental health. Remember, as MBAs, you all are taught to be running sprints. You want to reach faster, you want to put up successful, you want to earn a lot of money, you want to start your own company, you want to be incredibly successful. That's what the goal is. That's what you're dreaming about. Remember, life is a marathon, not a sprint. You've got to pace yourself. Because if you're running sprint all the time, you cannot. It's a 400-meter sprint. There's a reason why that is. It's a short distance sprint. And a marathons are longer. There's a reason why that is. Always remember, because our general tendency, and we are trained to do that, is conversation with another guy and say, okay, I'm 5 years in my corporate career or career, and this person has already become XYZ. This person has already become a director. This person has become a vice president. This person has become a CEO. This person has become that, this, that. That's just going to be comparing and supporting a lot of pressure with you. But remember, in the end, it's a marathon. That person will slow down because the health won't support it. You don't have to, you have to be very conscious. If you look at sports, people who play sports, they have a 15-year window. From 20 years, let's say 35, give or take. That's their life. They're sprinting until 35. But in corporate, our life is 10 and 60. You've got to keep that in mind. It's very, very important. Because if you don't, the body will take care of itself and slow you down, which is not what you want. The second part of health is mental health. And the simple way, for me, the only guidance for mental health is just keep your ecosystem around. Your friends, your families, your spouse, your siblings. That's the simplest way to keep your mental health alive and kicking. To be honest, if you go and do very well in your corporate careers, in your careers, but you have nobody to share that with, it doesn't matter. It just near you. It's not going to work. You have to understand, you have to conserve the ecosystem around you to really enjoy your success and stay healthy. Because in the end, the mental health is controlling your physical health as well. So that's my sort of fourth thing. I'm out of time, right on time. Those are my 4 messages. Stay hungry, work hard, right? In other words, be the best at what you do. Learn to communicate. Very, very, very important of all 4. This is the most important. And finally, watch your health. With that, I'm stopped. That's my 80 minutes up.